Hey everyone, welcome to another GitKraken workshop. Today we're going to be talking about the GitKraken CLI, kind of our plans for the future and some of the things we're working on. And to do that, I'm going to throw it over to one of our senior architects at GitKraken, Lewis. He's going to walk through some slides and then actually start demoing some of the stuff that we're coming out with. So with that, I'll throw it over to Lewis and we can get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm super excited to talk to you all today about our plans for the CLI, what we're building, and how we believe we're going to really simplify Git workflows, specifically across multiple repositories with our CLI. A little bit about me, as Ken said, I'm a software engineer and cloud architect at GitKraken, and I am super passionate about distributed systems, event-driven architectures, and DevX, which is really where our CLI has a sweet spot in improving DevX. So why a CLI? Again, if you're familiar with GitKraken, we have our desktop, we have GitLens, we have our new surface in the browser, but we haven't really been present in the CLI space. And we know that there are a ton of Git CLI users out there, myself included, and we really want to be able to, reach every single developer where they are, whether it's the IDE, the GitKraken desktop, or even the CLI. And we want to attack simplifying work within Git that spans many repositories. And additionally, we believe that we can further enforce Git best practices across teams. So that way things become standard when teams are interacting with Git from regardless of the surface they're doing it from. So how are we going to do this? So many of you may already be familiar with the concept of workspaces. This isn't new to GitKraken. Workspaces allow you to group repositories together in a single unit. And currently today, the main thing that you can do is group these repositories, and then you can clone them with a single command and fetch with a single command. But we're going to do a lot more with that over the coming months. And we're starting with the CLI. So what are we going to do? We're going to be able to perform multi-repo actions. We're going to have this concept of a unit of work that can span multiple repositories within a given workspace. It'll give us a unified experience, regardless of the Git provider and issue tracker you're using. And again, that standardization that we'll talk about. So let's first talk about the problem, right? What are we trying to solve for? So let's say we have a front end SPA that's written in React. That front end has its own, GraphQL backend that serves the front end. And then that GraphQL backend talks to the REST APIs, right? And let's say you have 5 or 6 REST microservices that comprise the API that the backend needs to communicate with. Doing a single feature from the REST API to the GraphQL API to the front-end API is a lot of work. You have to CD into the repository, you have to check out your branch, you have to do your work, commit, push, create your PRs, and that has to happen for every single repo that you're working within. And that can be a lot of overhead and a lot of pain. And the solution for that is workspaces. So if you group those repositories in a single workspace, you now have the ability to run Git commands that span all of those workspaces. And on top of that, we're calling it a unit of work, which is a container that's going to encapsulate all the activities and tasks that you're doing to achieve a specific goal within repositories of the workspace. So we're all familiar with the software development lifecycle. You start with planning, with a Jira issue, analysis, design, implementation, testing, maintenance, and back. The unit of work concept that we're working on is going to span this entire software development lifecycle. But at first, we're just experimenting with the implementation component, right? So starting with an issue in Jira, GitHub, Trello, whatever your issue tracker is, and then the implementation component of that. So writing your code, creating your branches, creating your PRs, and then updating your code base, fetching, pulling, merging, all of that is how we're going to start with this unit of work concept. And with that, I'm going to do a quick little demo, and then I'll jump back into the slides. Before I go into a demo, does anybody have any questions? Make it interactive. Oh. While I'm bringing up my other terminal. Okay, guess not. All right, can everyone see my terminal? Oh, did that work, Ken?
Yeah, you're good with this.
Awesome. Okay, so I am in my terminal here, and I have created a directory called workshop, which has three repos in it that we're going to create a workspace for. So I'm going to create my workspace and name it workshop. And I am going to put all of the directories in the workshop directory with the -r command. So it'll be the root repository of the workspace. And it will be the workshop directory. And now I've created the workspace. And you can see that I have now this workshop workspace, but it's not my active workspace. I will set it as my active workspace via the set command.
Hey, Lewis, it doesn't look like I'm seeing anything change on the screen. Should we be seeing?
Oh, yeah, we should. Let me stop and try that again. Oop. Buddy, I shared my whole screen, which I don't want to do. Classic demo fail. Window. This worked yesterday when we tested. All right. Do you see the CLI now? Just the CLI?
Okay, I think we're better. Yep.
And if I do a command, do you see things changing?
Yeah, we're good, huh?
All right. So basically what I did was I created a workspace via GKWS create. WS is short for workspace. I named it workshop, and I linked all of the repositories within the workshop directory to be the repos within the workspace. So now if I do GKWS info, it tells me that I have three repositories, not three, something classic demo fail again. It only shows one. I'll have to look into that. But I'll add, and now we have the three repositories. I'll have to look something must have run awry. This is like super beta work in progress. So now I have these three workspaces, these three repositories within my workshop workspace. And if I want to start a unit of work to implement a feature called, API or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do GK work start, and I'll just name it let's go. And then I'm only going to include the drafts service and go and go service common. Has dirty changes. That could be one of my problems. Okay, that should solve the problem. Okay. So because I had dirty changes, I wasn't able to do the work that is required to start work, which is basically creating a new branch in all of the repositories for the unit of work that you want to perform. So what just happened is if I do a list of work, I now have this unit of work called Let's Go, and the branch that was created was called Feature Let's Go. I didn't link it to an issue, and it spans the two repositories, the drafts service and the common service repository. So now if I do a list in the draft service, you see that I'm on the branch Let's Go. And if I CD into the common service, you'll see that I'm also on the branch Let's Go. And if I go and I want to make a change, so there's no changes. If I do just make a change to the README, and now do a git status, we see that there's changes. I can now run GK work commit my commit message. That's that's because I didn't set. I'm still new to the commands myself. Oh my God. Okay. Now, if I were to commit, it's not a git command. It just made those commits for the Go service common repository because that was the only repository that had changes. Now, if I type git status, you'll see that the branch is clean. And if I do a git log, you'll see that my cool work was the commit message that was added. So let me stop sharing the terminal. I apologize for that little bit of a mishap. But again, this is a live demo, and we are still in the pretty early stages, and the commands are changing often right out from under me. So that's kind of what happened there. And then let me share my presentation again. Can you see the presentation, Ken?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you. So great.
Maximize if you can.
What's that?
You might just want to maximize that window.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. So, you saw how we created a unit of work. You saw how we added repositories, how we committed changes, all with a single command across the repositories. We're going to be going even further with creating PRs, right? And you can see an example here where we're going to now, if we did a PR create, we're going to go ahead and create pull requests for each of the repositories that have changes, and we're going to push them up so that way you can then do the pull request process. So again, imagine you're working on that client app, you're doing a full stack feature, and you've made all your changes in your 3 repositories. With a single command, you can create a pull request for each of the 3 repositories that were part of the unit of work that you were working on. You can, and then if you were to connect that work with a Jira issue, or a Trello issue, or a Bitbucket issue, or a GitHub issue, we will properly tag it, and then you'll automatically get that traceability from issue to work with a single command across that does it across all the repositories. Again, standardization. I created a local workspace, but with a single command or an additional flag to the workspace creation process, I could have created a cloud workspace. And this means that anybody that belongs to my GitKraken org that I've shared the workspace with can actually clone the workspace to their local machine as well. So again, if you're working at a company and you have a team that works across 5 or 6 repos, you can create a single workspace for that team. And then anybody that joins the team or works on that team with a single command can clone all of those repositories. We plan on adding the ability to apply standardization rules to the workspace. So that way, when you're working with one of the repositories in the workspace, if there's a rule that has specific branch naming schemes for doing pull requests or templates, all of those rules will be applied when you're working with Git or any of the repositories in that workspace. So again, just to summarize, we're trying to really improve developer productivity and streamline user experiences when working with Git in these multi-repo environments. And that's really where we're focusing. And we're starting with the CLI, but we believe that we're going to also get to move a lot of this functionality into GKD and VS Code as we start to build and validate the behaviors with our users. So that's pretty much it for me in terms of presentations. I think it's time for questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, one question. So if people want to learn more about, what we're doing or get access to the CLI and all these capabilities as soon as it comes available, should they sign up for early access? Is that the best path?
Yeah, I can drop a link. That QR code goes to a link. And I will go to the actual link.
Yeah, and I know if you go gitkraken.com/CLI, there's a link at the top.
This is the link to a page for signing up for early access as we do releases and betas.
Yeah, so just anyone that signs up there, as soon as we have something that they can get their hands on, they'll get notified, right?
Yep.
And Louis, I mean, what are you most excited for? I know we talked about, a couple of the benefits for everyone. What are you looking forward to the most?
Me personally, the bulk repo actions, and I've been using it. So for example, we have, even at GitKraken, we have lots of Go repositories, and we have a common Go code base, Go repo that has all of our logging and observability and how we consume from Kafka, and a lot of standards around, messaging and error handling that we use in all of our Go code bases. And a lot of times we're making changes in that shared library, and then you have to go, and once you commit those changes and push those changes up, you need to update every single one of your services to then update their dependency on that shared library. And we have many Go code bases, and a lot of times that update applies to, in the common repository, applies to like 6 or 7 repositories, right? So if you could simply, with a single command, start a unit of work and specify the repositories that you need to work within, it's literally one command for all of the Git work across all of those repositories. And it's super valuable in that kind of an ecosystem. And then again, full stack engineers that don't work in mono repos, that work in these, microservice architectures, they run into these challenges a lot, and it slows things down, and you hear it all the time. So a lot of what we're doing, we've validated with our users, and that's really the biggest pain point for devs. And then when you talk to the managers, the standardization comes into play, right? They want to see all of their, GitHub issues linked directly to, Git integration for Jira, and devs don't always start the issue with the right branch name, or they forget to comment in the actual commit the name of the Jira ticket so that the linking happens automatically. And then they don't know that somebody's actually started work on a thing, because when they look in Jira, they don't see the connection. So the dev managers and leads get really excited about the standardization aspect. And going further, we have our launchpad on gitkraken.dev and in GKD and even in Git Lens, where we show you the work that you're working on. The units of work are now going to show up in the Launchpad as well, and you'll see where you're at. You'll be able to, delegate reviews and assign reviews for that unit of work all through the Launchpad. So those are the things that we're going to be working on. And additionally, within GitKraken.dev, being able to view a pull request that spans multiple repositories in a single pane of glass. So seeing the common repository change alongside of how you're integrating it into a code base without having to switch back and forth between pull request tabs. So a single layer of glass that can do that is also really exciting, which is something that I don't think anybody has today, the ability to view a pull request that spans multiple repositories in a single pane of glass. So that's really exciting.
How would you say our perspective or strategy has changed, if at all, over like past iterations of the GitKraken CLI?
A lot. So our first go at the CLI, we were just building features into the CLI, right? And we weren't necessarily solving a problem, right? Sure, we can view issues in the CLI that you could also view on GitKraken.dev or inside of the Launchpad and GKD. But so what? Am I really going to use a CLI just to look at issues? We weren't necessarily solving a problem. We're going to have all of that same functionality because it is valuable to view issues. But now the value becomes in being able to view your issues in the CLI and then start work from that issue and link them, right? And then you're solving a problem with the traceability from issue to work and also abstracting away the concept of all of these repos that you have to execute commands in with a single command across all of those repos. So we're now really focusing on dev pain points. And that's why this really resonates and is a big part of the DevX space, is because we're going to be improving the developer experience through simplification. Not much is going to change. All the same Git commands that you would have to run in, those repos anyway are going to get executed. We're just going to do them for you. And just speed up your work. So that's the other thing that I really like. You don't have to learn any new concepts about Git. We're using branches, all the things that people are already familiar about. And it's a really low barrier. And it really, really speeds things up. So we're just looking at things more holistically from an end user pain point and not just a feature standpoint.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, it's like we don't have any other questions. Thank you, Louis, for your time, and thank you for everyone for attending. Please sign up for early access. We want your feedback. We want to hear what you guys are interested in. So please do that. Get your hands on it as soon as possible. And thanks again. Hopefully we see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ken.